Well, the first thing I'd say if I was the developer, the first question that I would ask myself, and it sounds a bit silly, but it would be, do I have time to sell my own stock? And if you're looking at creating a development business, so let's start talking about a business now, not just deal by deal. The first thing you need to do is you need to achieve deal flow. So to achieve deal flow, when do you make your money? When you buy. Make your money when you buy, right? Not when you sell. You need to spend your time, firstly, on acquisitions. I would say, from my experience, the people that I've seen take that jump and grow very successful development businesses in a short period of time, they would be putting in at least 5 genuine offers per week. So if you're not putting in 5 genuine offers per week, you don't have time to sell your own stock. That's the first barrier. Okay. Second barrier would be, if you are putting in 5 offers per week, have you got your funding sorted so that you can move quickly when opportunities come up? Because that is also very crucial, especially in the Southeast Queensland market. It's being able to move quickly on opportunities, take calculated risks. So that might mean, have I got a serviceability partner, or do I have finance pre-approval? If I need to raise 500,000, can I do that quickly? So to raise 500,000 as a rule of thumb, you probably need to have about 5 people you can call that could put that money in, because you might have a 1 in 5 hit rate. So if you've got deal flow and if you've got your funding sorted, then probably the third thing I would ask is, do I have the systems and the processes to run an effective sales campaign? So we break down a sales campaign into what we can control. You can't control price. That's a big myth. People think you can control price. You can control the asking price, but you can't control whether someone's going to pay that. If someone's going to pay more, if someone's going to pay less, if there's going to be anyone that's going to even buy, right? So the things that you can control, you can control marketing. So marketing is, if you imagine you've got a funnel, you've got a bucket, and you've got, how many hoses do you have that you can fill that bucket up with? So how many ways do you have to generate leads? Then the next thing would be presentation. So how are you branding that estate? How professional is your digital and print media and all these sorts of things? And then the last thing is communication. So how are you communicating with your buyers? What is your speed of response? So we have invested over $100,000 in the past couple of years to build systems and the personnel where someone will get a response 24/7. They'll get a text message. If they provide the phone number, they'll get an email. It doesn't matter what time of day it is. So that gives them the information instantly to start assessing the opportunity. And then we have someone that is solely devoted to calling back buyers, nurturing those buyers, trying to convert them into someone that's qualified, that's looking to make an offer. On top of that, you've got myself and my business partner, Mirren, another salesperson, Rafa. So Mirren, he has an Indian background. Rafa has a Chinese background. Between the three of us, we pretty much cover most of the ethnicities of buyers in this area. So we've got the ability to communicate effectively. We've got the knowledge around building to sort of preempt the questions that people are going to have, whether it's a builder, we know what sort of questions. Have you got disclosure plans? What's the registration? Are there any covenants? All these sorts of things. If it's a buyer, what are the setbacks? Other questions they might have around, I've never built before. So then, are you doing a single story, double story? What type of house are you looking to build? All these sorts of things. And the culmination of those three things is what's going to lead to the price. Because ultimately, you're trying to pop out a bunch of qualified buyers that are ready to go, and that's going to introduce that scarcity, that competitive tension that we spoke about earlier, to design an effective sales campaign. So if you've got all of those three things in place as a developer, you've got deal flow, you've got funding, and you've got systems and processes to run an effective campaign, okay, well, maybe you might think about selling yourself. But I would guess that probably if you do, you could be doing more. You could be doing more sites. You could be looking at other ways to increase your development business, increase the cash flow? Could you look at going into commercial? Could you look at becoming a builder developer? So all these sorts of things.
I mean, we all fall into that same headspace, right? Like, I don't, Carson and Shannon, the only reason why they would be selling their own stuff is because there's more margin on it. I mean, they're doing it themselves, so they don't have to pay out. Obviously, they don't have, this massive development company where they have, 20 people in an office doing this and this and that and having all the systems and all the processes and the marketing and everything perfect. But at the end of the day, they're saving what they would think up front is a lot of money. But we always talk about this off camera and going, the acquisition piece is where you actually make your money, right? So where are you better off spending your time? Now I want to give it to Shannon and Carson, because this is very important, guys, because everyone is going to be in the same headspace at some point. When you're doing your feasibility and you're working it out, all right, 20 blocks, average, 500 grand a block, that's, $10 million times X%. And then you go, that's hundreds of thousands of dollars. Why don't we just do that? Or why don't we just hire someone in-house to do that? So I want to know a little bit of your guys' journey, guys, and where you're at, because I know you're starting to look at, using people like Morgan and be profiting and whatnot.
Well, I think Morgan's done that spiel a few times, because are we doing 5 offers a week?
I'm actually glad you're making this question now.
You're a shit developer.
Bloody hell, I'm glad you said that number, because I've been saying that to our coach clients. I'm like, you guys need to be making 1 or 2 offers a week, and they're just like, 1 or 2 offers a week. I'm like, I don't even care, like, if they're great offers. I want to get into the habit of that, using that muscle, because like me and Shannon, 50% of the projects we got on our board are ones that have come back 6-12 months later, just because we've got a hat in the ring, and just because it was overpriced. And sometimes it's like we've offered literally half the price of the listing, or 30% less, or different terms. But if you don't put your hat in the ring, if you're not making that volume of offers, then the deals aren't going to come back to you. But I think you're right. Like, that's something, it's opportunity costs. We talk about it all the time. Even in the civil game, like, we're like, okay, we're saving this money for Shannon with his expertise in the civil construction. But if his head wasn't there and we're out there assessing more sites, and as we're growing, he can't have his head in the dirt when we got 5 projects under construction. It's okay when you got 1. So it's a space that we're looking at, and I'm saying, Shannon, I want you in the office more. And then, I'm a tight ass by nature. So my very first block, I've always tried to sell it. Like, I actually copied the print from the previous agent and copied and pasted, rang up, said, what are you doing? Like, this is literally my copy word for word. But so I think, and what I think the biggest thing is, most people can't get their emotion out of their own project. I either think it's going to be the most fandangle townhouse or best piece of dirt ever, or they just can't do the negotiation piece. Like, there's an art in that, and I think I'm very unemotional, so I think we do it okay, but we don't know what we're leaving on the table as well, and it's still something that moving forward we're not going to be able to do. So I think it's a good point that you make. I think 95% of people probably shouldn't. I know some developers that have got some really good in-house teams in place and systems, like you say, that work okay, but for the majority of people, like, you give up 1 deal and you lose 1, 2, $10 million, it's gonna come back and bite you.